Welcome back to my channel. This is Chanel with Naturally Free in Finance, where I like to talk about something finance related while I work on my natural hair. So today I'm just going to be refreshing this bun. As you can see, I've let it go the past week, but I am going to just kind of refresh it today. All I'm using is some water. I have some oil here, this Palmer's oil, and this is to help for me to not have any flaking when I put on the gel. The gel is just the Sweatline Extreme gel. And then for my ends, I'm using this Lotta Body Curl and Moisture Milk. So if you've seen my previous videos, you know that when it comes to hair products, I'm using what I have. I'm not going out and getting the latest and greatest products. I'm just using what I have and trying to stay, very budget friendly when it comes to hair products. So that's that. So what I wanted to talk about today was this podcast that I watch pretty frequently. It's called I Will Make You Rich, or You Will Be Rich, or something like that. I have to get the exact name, but it definitely is in the realm of I will be rich, or I can make you rich, or something like that. And the host, his name is Ramit, and what he does is he interviews couples, married couples specifically, and he talks about their overall financial background, like, how did they grow up when it came to finances, like who taught them about finances, how were finances run within their household. And then he gets into their current situation of where they work now and how are they managing finances within their home. And then finally he'll break down their monthly expenses and their income, and kind of let them know, okay, this is what your net worth is, and then go through their budget to see what can be cut, where can things be adjusted. So it's a very interesting podcast. It really is. He asks very thoughtful and just meaningful questions to kind of help them understand why they may be in the situation that they're in. So the particular episode that I watched the other day, it was this couple, and they were both 35. The husband, he had his he has a degree in chemical engineering. Okay, chemical engineering, and 2 master's degrees. I'm putting the oil on right now. 2 master's degrees and no job. No job. He has a business. He did not mention what the business was called, and I don't know. It could be due to just not wanting to disclose everything on the show. But he mentioned that he was making about, like, I want to say between $4,000 to $7,000 a month with the business. And then his wife, she works in education, and she currently is in school trying to get her PhD. And the job that she currently has pays like $44,000 a year. So that's kind of like their kind of background as far as what they do. And then as they got into the podcast more, or I should say the interview more, the husband, he clearly was the dominant force in their relationship when it came to the decision making with their finances. And just making bad decisions. So for example, he does not want to get a job, although he has a degree in chemical engineering and 2 master's degrees and could make a ton of money being an engineer. But because he has this I don't want to work for anyone spirit, which is fine, but sometimes not sometimes, honestly, I think every time you have to work for someone while you're trying to build a business. There's nothing wrong with that. And I definitely feel a certain type of way when people have their opinions on like someone making a decision to work and to, to work for someone. Like, that's okay. Do I think that we all need multiple streams of income and need to do more than just have a job? Most definitely. Me and my husband, we talk about it all the time, and I honestly still haven't quite figured that out, because it's like, I don't know. I don't want to do retail. I don't want to do certain things. I want to work a certain time. So it's been kind of hard for me to like figure that out exactly. But I say all that to say that this particular guy, I felt like he was frowning upon getting a 9 to 5. And I'm just like, no, you need it, because you guys, now mind you, I don't know if I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, but so I said that his business makes like 4,000 to 7,000. His wife also works, so they mentioned that collectively monthly they make like $10,000 to $12,000 a month. And as they went through their expenses, they were paying 154% to fix costs in comparison to their overall income. So they're paying more each month than what they actually have. And with that, he did not want to get a job. He did not want to get a 9 to 5. No. Okay. No. It couldn't be me. It couldn't be me. That's all I can really say on it. I think that you have to do what you have to do. You have to provide for your family. I think that the man should definitely be the leader, but he got to be a leader who's smart and logical, and this guy wasn't. So for example, he had real estate properties, 26 real estate properties to be exact. Obviously, all of that was being funded through debt. Some things went wrong, and then he had to sell all of the properties. He did not profit from this sale. So after paying off the debt that was owed on these homes, and then given this market, he did not come out with a profit. Dog in the back snoring. But so as they went through their expenses, they had some very easy expenses that they could cut. So they had like a housekeeper, they had a lot of subscriptions, they were paying a lot in tithes, and it was very interesting on that piece because they were paying like $2,000 or not 2,000, 1,000 a month tithing. And the host was like, well, is there any way that you can cut that? And they were like, absolutely not. So I respected that. But yeah, so, and then they also had 3 vehicles, and it's just 2 of them, and then they have 2 young kids. So obviously it didn't make sense to have 3 vehicles. So I think at the end of the day, they did They ended up selling one of the vehicles, and they were able to find a lot of different ways to cut their expenses, especially like with, you know, food. So it's a really good show. I definitely recommend people to watch it if that's something that you're into. It really helps me to ask myself like the same questions that he asked these couples. It makes me think about constantly, where can I cut? You know, I mentioned in the last episode of how I was able to reduce my phone bill, and I'm probably going to change my insurance, car insurance next year. Going to look into that. So constantly always trying to do that. And then still broke down how much they were making a month versus their expenses. And at the end of the day, they had a lot of subscriptions. They had 3 cars. So eventually they decided to, you know, sell one of the cars. They cut some of the subscriptions. They were going to reduce their like, you know, food expenses wherever they can cut. They had a housekeeper. I'm like, you don't need a housekeeper right now. And then, so yeah, so they reduce a lot of expenses. But to get back to this making, you know, I said $10,000 to $12,000 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that you should be able to maintain with no problem. They did not mention exactly where they lived as far as, you know, geographically. I'm not sure what state. I don't think it was like New York or LA or anything like that. But $10,000 to $12,000 a month besides New York and LA, I think is very feasible to live off of a month. So for them to be in the hole, to have a negative net worth, just bad decision making, not making smart decisions at all. And get whole life insurance for his family, and not because he was trying to you know, make sure that they were set up if someone passed away, but he wanted to get whole life insurance so that he can leverage using this whole life insurance to purchase property. So again, he's not being a good leader. He's not making good decisions for his family. The thing that really bothered me though is the fact that you're sitting on this chemical engineering degree and refusing to get a job to get your family out of a hole. They obviously had a lot of debt. I want to say the debt was over $200,000. Mainly, I should say, because of the wife's student loans, which is crazy because her PhD is in education. And, you know, the host was like, well, what are you trying to do after you get your PhD? And she's like, I'm trying to teach. And I'm just like, and so I'm like, okay, you trying to teach? And so mind you, I said that she was making $44,000 a year currently, and said that after she got her PhD, she was going to be making $70,000. And I'm like, that's not enough. You don't need a PhD to make $70,000. So it's just some bad decision making going on in the household. And I believe that the man should be the leader of the household, especially, you know, when you have kids involved and you're married. It's not in a sense of him ruling, but leading by example. We'll see how long this lasts. It doesn't. The only problem with the bun is that it pretty much only lasts for like a week, which is not a long time for me, and then you kind of have to redo the whole process. But I do think that a nice trick is to put oil on top of the gel first, and that helps with no flaking. So long story short, to kind of wrap it up, my biggest takeaway from the podcast was, you know, do what you have to do for your family when it comes to getting you out of the hole. And maybe you do have to take on a job that you don't necessarily love, but you're doing what you got to do. And in the meantime, maybe while you're working that job, you continue to focus on what you really want to do and what you're really passionate about. But we got to take care of home. So that was like the biggest takeaway for me from the podcast. And just being open and honest with your spouse, with your family, about the overall kind of situation when it comes to the household finances. So that's all that I have today, and I will see you guys next time.